Hey guys, this is a 2019 McLaren 720S. Have it out here for a couple of hours. Gonna take it out for a quick drive and see what makes it basically a budget hypercar. Mind-boggling performance, 710 horsepower, 0 to 100 miles an hour in 5.1 seconds. But first, a quick walk around the car. Unlike the 650S and the 12C that came before, there are no major, really side intakes. Everything's integrated very smoothly and elegantly here. I would say is the complete opposite with the McLaren Senna. The door handle is well integrated. Still have your carbon fiber tub, but it is a couple of inches lower than the 650S, which makes getting in and out much easier, as well as now part of the door opens up with the roof. So getting in and out, honestly, is really not difficult at all. I'm 6'4", you know, getting out, same deal. Getting out's even easier. It's just become much more intuitive overall. But styling wise, I think it is a beautiful car. Coming on back, you do have your 4-liter twin turbo V8. Exhausts are still up here in the center. You do have your massive air brake, which deploys under hard braking. These curves and lines here looks like a hypercar, but it also drives like one. So let's go ahead and take it out for a drive. I've not driven a 720 in a long time.
Me too.
So you get 710 brake horsepower.
How much torque was that?
Maybe a third. Yeah, immediately from the 650S, which was our last car review, that was like almost 2 weeks ago, I can already tell the difference of the transmission. It's definitely quicker. This does have the P1 style carbon paddles, which I appreciate. I much prefer those paddles over like the tiny ones that you get normally. Tons of carbon fiber inside, incredibly spacious. And compared to the 650S, that was, I'd say, middle of the road between 458 and Huracan in terms of space. This is like a level above the 650S, and honestly, even the 458, or I guess now the 488. There's enough room where now I can like have my arm like way out here. Plenty of headroom. This does have the dual Gorilla Glass sunroofs, which look awesome, much like the P1. Kind of adds like a more airy effect into the cabin, makes everything feel a little more spacious. Visibility out the front is amazing, some of the best of any supercars. The front pillars are kind of thick. You can see like the front axle as well, and like some of the wheel arches, so placing this car is incredibly easy. Honestly, visibility out the back is incredible for a supercar. I mean, I can see just directly behind me, which is unlike 99% of exotics. It really enhances the experience, because a lot of exotics, even though I kind of like that you can't see out of like Lambos, for example, because that's just part of the experience, in a McLaren, because you can see out so well, you can just really absorb like all the sensations of just the speed. Of course, being a McLaren, this does have a carbon fiber tub. The seat controls are still incredibly unfathomable. I don't understand anything. Other than that, it's pretty much perfect in here, I'd say. It's everything I'd want. I can already tell, dude, just from the amount of throttle I'm giving it, which is not that much, I can already tell this is night and day faster compared to the 650. I can just tell. Got top speed is 212 miles an hour. That was a third gear pull. That was not second gear. That was a third gear pull. This 700 horsepower compared to the Aventur's
It is not the
700,
same
it is not the same number.
Not the same.
It is completely different. The 720S, I still stand by this, and many people do, I say is a budget hypercar. 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds. 0 to 100 in 5.1 seconds. That's the exact same 0 to 100 as the Bugatti Veyron. That is insane. And that has an extra nearly 300 horsepower over this. We were getting nearly close to the same performance as a McLaren P1 for way less money. You're doing 9-second quarter miles stock from the factory. A man can go into a dealership and buy this and run 9s stock. And you can tell the tone of the car is definitely a bit more aggressive than the 650S. It's less, sounds more 570 than 650, I would say. It's a little less airy vacuum cleaner noise. Not that I dislike the noise of the 650S. I actually quite like it, but it's it has gotten those complaints from some people. The exterior color is Saros Blue, one of my favorite colors on the 720S. It's the perfect combination of not too flashy, but not like too boring.
Fully gone.
So in the corners, I mean, because of the carbon tub, it's incredibly rigid and just incredibly light. You can toss it into a corner effortlessly. It is hydraulic power steering, and I've said this a lot of times. Maybe it's repetitive, probably is. I prefer the steering on McLaren just because I feel like they have a little bit more feedback and weight to them compared to some of the other newer supercars. This is definitely a little bit dartier than like a 650S, I feel like. You can kind of absorb the steering a little more than the Huracan and like the F8. The steering is so fast. I just feel like it's like the smallest little dart and the nose just like turns in like crazy. I feel like it's too robotic in a sense, and this is a little bit more of a slower feel to it in the steering, which I appreciate. Yeah, we are going incredibly slow, but I will say this car handles going slow very well. It can easily be a daily driver. 710 horsepower, so they say. People have been dynoing the 720S's stock to be making basically about 800 horsepower to the crank. It's more like 710 to the wheels. There are multiple reports about that. I don't know, you know, it's rated at 710, let's just say that, but it feels like more. Performance and T.
Oh.
Watch the screen come down. I feel like a 9-year-old.
Oh, scary, dude.
It is a terrifyingly quick car. And take that, you know, as a good thing or a bad thing. You get on it for 3 seconds and you have to immediately hit the brake pedal afterwards. Now it does have carbon ceramic brakes as standard, which is very nice. Pedal feel is actually fantastic. McLaren has done brakes very well. Insanely torquey motor. I mean, I'm in 4th right now doing 60. And that's 80. It's truly insane. Like it is hypercar performance for, you know, an 1/8 of the price. And like I said, compared to a 650S, which is already a crazy fast car, that's already borderline too fast for the road. And this is night and day in terms of just outright, to me, maybe on paper, you might say it's, you know, not that much fast. Like, it is faster, but it's not as crazy as you might think. It feels a lot faster to me. It revs to about 7,500 RPM, so not a super high revving car. 650S was about 8,500 RPM, so, you know, it's... Track mode is definitely stiffer. Let's put it into comfort mode. Because we gotta test it out, you know. We gotta see the people who are actually gonna be buying these cars. They're probably gonna be older.
If you buy this car and put it in comfort mode, I don't want you to watch this channel.
Dude, I can immediately feel the difference though.
Yeah.
It rides very nice. Because of that hydraulic suspension, the wheels are kind of connected like independently of one another essentially. And so when one wheel goes over a bump, it kind of absorbs the bump while the others don't as much. It rides so nicely because of that. You feel a slight, I will say, disconnect to the road because of that. Many people appreciate that. If you want something a little bit quieter, a little less hardcore feeling, you want that disconnect. And then if you want to be a little more connected, of course, you put it in track mode and it's a completely different animal and it's much stiffened up, obviously.
And it's a new car.
It's a new car. But to have that disconnect is nice. It's a nice, you know, you want to just cruise on the interstate and it really soaks up the bumps very well. It's more comfy than a Huracan. Ignore that. It's more comfy than a Huracan F8, I would say. But, you know, it's kind of boring, so let's put it back in the track. In full track mode, performance in track, handling in track. And yeah, the steering is already faster. And yeah, the handling. And like I said, because of the carbon tub, even in convertible form, it would be just as rigid as the coupe, just as stiff because of how strong the tub is. And that's allowed McLaren to really provide the same performance, whether it's the coupe or the convertible.
Why do you want it to be up?
You hear that little pop? And it feels crazier than like a 488 or like an F8 to me. This car does give, I think, more of a special occasion over some of the other competitors. It feels more like a hypercar experience. And not just because of the performance, I think because of the looks. course, you get the doors, which is nice. Yeah, just the outright feel of the whole car, it feels like a hypercar. I think it is a very good looking car. Some people are kind of mixed on like the front like eye socket design, which is also a very cleverly designed intake in the headlight essentially. In terms of just the usability, of course you can slap it into automatic mode. I would never, but you can, and it just functions like a regular car, dare I say. I mean, it is low to the ground, but of course there is a lift system. Actually has a pretty large sized front trunk and quite a bit of space behind you as well, which is very appreciated.
Fit some golf bags. No, you couldn't.
Probably not. 650S is already like prison time. This is like...
This is felony time.
This is like life behind bars.
No, this is felony.
Like with no chance of parole. All right, second gear from 40. It's like scary.
That's insane.
Like traction is turned on. You can feel the system definitely trying its hardest to not let the wheels spin. I cannot recommend the 720S enough to people. Right? Like when people come in and they ask, what do you prefer, McLaren or Ferrari or Lambo? I've always said McLaren because I just love the performance. Even though they don't sound quite as good as Ferrari, if you're looking for just outright performance, you cannot go wrong with this car. Now, reliability, I will say, in McLarens has been getting better. I know many people personally, many friends who've had McLarens over the years, and like older McLarens, like the 12Cs, 570S, and
F1s.
I don't know anyone of those people yet, but they've had no issues with their cars. None. Just your normal stuff that can happen with any exotic. But 720S is definitely a step above those cars in terms of reliability, but there could still be issues. Mechanically, these cars are usually great. With McLarens, the things that can go wrong tend to be smaller electrical things that can go wrong, like a light coming on or a turn signal stock malfunctioning or something dumb. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. The car is for sale here at European Exotic Center. Check out our website, view all the photos of the vehicle, and I will see you guys in the next one.